So the SnowRunner devs actually recently dropped a very interesting update that goes into a lot of detail on how mods are selected for consoles. And I think that for a lot of people, they may still not be completely sure on how this process works. And if you have any questions, make sure to stick around for the rest of this video because we're going to be going into a lot of detail here. Now, for this video, I chose to use a vehicle mod that is available on consoles, which is Frogs Side by Side, and the map that we are going to be exploring around right now is currently only available on the public test server. This is the first map in the Wisconsin region, which is coming to Phase 3 later on in February. Now, the biggest thing that I wanted to go ahead and get out of the way right off the bat is that the information I'm going to be reading comes straight from the developers, and if you would like to read their actual original release, a link to that will be left in the description box down below. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, this was posted by Jellyfish on the official SnowRunner forums, and he said, "Hello runners, we've noticed there's some confusion about the process regarding how mods are put on consoles and what makes a mod ineligible for consideration on consoles, so we're happy to shed some light on this." Now, he goes on to say the process. First of all, adding mods to consoles is a gradual process and requires regular work from the development team. In order to comply with Sony and Microsoft's standards, every mod must be checked and tested before it can come to consoles. Currently, there's a large pool of PC mods, so there should be a steady flow of new mods added for a good while. There is no request process. The team simply picks mods that are suitable. Basically, what that means is that a lot of people kind of seem to have a little bit of an idea that console mods are sort of in either like, people ask for the mods to be there, or that there's sort of a queue almost. But what he means here, what he's saying is that when they pick mods, they straight up just pick them. They're like, okay, this one has the suitable files, this one meets the criteria, let's choose this one for testing, and then if it makes it through the testing, then it can make it to your home console. Now, let's move on. Now, staying up to date, they've said, for reasons we will explain, we will not be sharing the mods that are being tested ahead of time. This is because not all mods that are tested are guaranteed to make it to consoles. We're happy to be transparent about the process, but for the community to be involved this closely is not constructive, which they say in their words. And they also go on to say, and puts unnecessary pressure on the modders that would have to be named, especially if they decide not to update their mods anymore, or if a mod never ends up making it to consoles. Their involvement should remain voluntary and free of community expectations, especially if their mod fails the process. So basically what they're saying here is they want to avoid scenarios where someone's mod gets tested for consoles and then the modder's name gets out there and maybe their mod didn't pass, and then, you know, let's say, for example, people blame the modder. And that's not just that's just not and I agree with them, I agree with what they're saying, because it's not really, you know, it's not a healthy thing for a modder to submit a mod for the process, and maybe there's one little thing about it that maybe doesn't pass, and they don't deserve to be, you know, blamed for that. It's just something that happens in the process. You know, some mods pass and some mods don't pass, and that's just kind of how the approval process works. And what's nice about it is, since this process has been around for a little while now, a lot more modders have more of an idea of what makes their mod more likely to pass on the first go around. So that is a good thing. Now, as we move on, they also go on to say, if you'd like to know which mods have been recently added, we're doing a weekly post every Wednesday that recaps all mods added to console in the last 7 days. To be completely clear, mods can be added to console on any day. The Wednesday post is just a recap. Now, interesting point to touch on there, because I've seen some people sort of out in the community saying mods get added on Wednesdays, and I'm like, no, mods can get added on any day of the week, any business day, because the pattern that we seem to have seen up to this point is that any amount of mods can be added to consoles on any business day of the week, sort of Monday through Friday, and not many, if really none at all, get added on weekends. And so that gives us some sort of an idea of when we can expect to see new mods. Now, I know that there are some weekdays where we don't see any new mods, and I know that some people are like, oh my god, where are they? Where are the new mods? And I completely understand how that can be a little bit frustrating, but at the same time, if no new mods drop on a certain weekday, that usually means that they're gearing up for more to drop the next day or maybe the day after that. So we will need to exercise patience sometimes in regards to console mods, and new console mods dropping, but I'm totally willing to do that because of the fact that there's always going to be new mods on the horizon. Because like they said earlier, there are so many mods for them to pull from that the pool is just massive. The pool is absolutely massive, and so if no mods drop on a certain day, that probably just means that they're gearing up for an even bigger drop a little bit later on. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because this is where we move to the list of requirements, and that is, like I said, that is word for word what this section of this post from the devs is called. So, requirements list. Below, you'll find a list of all the hard requirements for mods to be eligible for console. They've also gone on to say, keep in mind, this doesn't automatically mean they will be added, only that they are not precluded. So, they go on to say, brands. The only branded mods that are allowed must be base game vehicles from the brands Pacific, Ford, Western Star, Freightliner, and International/Navistar. Vehicle mods that are not in the game or that are in SnowRunner DLC/Season Pass content are not eligible for console mods, even if they are from the brands just listed. However, a little addition that I want to make to that is that we have obviously seen some mods that are obviously inspired by certain real-world vehicles, but are more like their own thing than they are like the vehicle they are inspired by, and I'm not sure what the actual amount of originality there needs to be there, at least in terms of what the devs will consider eligible, but that does seem to be a little bit of a fluid thing, and I think we'll have to wait for future information and just see where some of the future mods go to get a little bit of a better idea of that. Now, some of the next few requirements are pretty self-explanatory, but we are going to go over them anyway. For example, no, inappropriate content, mod titles and descriptions need to be in English, special characters are not allowed, such as, they give, a couple of different examples, like / and percentage. A mod cannot surpass 1 GB in size. A mod must have no visible glitches or render bugs. A vehicle mod must allow the player to progress through the game to some extent and must be possible to play without any blocking issues. Before making a mod available, we will test this on our side. They've also said, warning, all textures of materials of a vehicle mod must be named according to the correct naming scheme. Now, they do get into some slightly more wordy stuff here, and I'm just going to go ahead and leave it off with that statement that the vehicle materials and textures must fit within that correct naming scheme. If you are going to dive into more of that gets a little bit more into actual mod development stuff and is a little bit outside the context of what we were talking about in this video. So that now brings us to the point in the video where I want to ask you guys what your favorite mods are that you have been playing around with on your consoles, whether it's Xbox, PlayStation, because, ever since we did a console mods update, there have been a lot of new mods added, and I would really love to know which ones of those you guys have been spending the majority of your time with, because there are some really fun ones out there, there are some really good ones out there, and for example, again, if you haven't used the one that we're using on screen right now, chances are that you have used this thing by now, but if you have not, I definitely recommend giving it a try. And if you have any maps that you really enjoy using, those are definitely something I want to hear about in the comment section down below as well. Now, I also do want to touch on a couple of things in regards to Phase 3, because again, like I said in the beginning of the video, we are using a Phase 3 map, however, we are playing with it on the PTS, which is, again, the public test server on PC, but Phase 3 is currently lined up for a February release, and as of recording this video, the devs have not given an exact date for the release of Phase 3. Now, a lot of people have been asking if I know the exact date of a release for Phase 3, and at the current moment in time, I do not. That has not been made public in any way, shape, or form. However, the one thing I do want to let you guys know is usually, from what we've seen in the past, they have released the actual release date for these new phases very shortly before they launch. So by the time they actually release a release date, usually the update is only about a week or less, sometimes a few days away from dropping. Now, will that be exactly how it is with Phase 3? I have no idea. However, that is the way that we've kind of seen things go with previous phases and previous updates. That's definitely the way it went with the Yukon release. The Yukon release literally was like, when they released a release date, it literally came out a few days after that. So if we're going off of previous experience, that's definitely, I think, what we can expect. However, that's only speculation, but that's what I am expecting to see. Now, again, hope you all did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time.